Hi, my name is Nina Means, and I'm the director for Austin Community College Incubator, and you're watching Coffee Talk. This is the way that we get our week started on Mondays at 10 a.m., where we get a chance to talk to you about some of the different things that are going on in our industry and our business, and what emerging brands are doing to engage in this. Sometimes we give you guys updates on our program and what's happening with the Fashion Incubator as a whole. We've got the Designer in Residence program that just started this fall, as well as the new Macy's sponsored The Future of Fashion series. And so that's actually ongoing. It's happening right now. So we've got another 3 weeks of that course going on. But so far, it's been an incredible time with emerging brands that are looking to figure out if they're ready to start their fashion business. So this is a really exciting time for us as the incubator. Our next project, though, is working with the U.S. Embassy of Cairo and the City of Austin Economic Development Department with the Global Business Expansion Program. And this is a really exciting opportunity for us to get a chance to support the virtual learning for management and entrepreneurship as we get started with ATX plus E2 Fashion Entrepreneurship Program that starts this December. So that runs all the way through 2021. And it starts with a 4-month boot camp for global business, specifically for fashion, accessories, and apparel. And then it actually has a break in probably from really like mid-late April all the way through early fall. So August is when we'll see the team again. That gives them time to implement everything that they've learned, to show up some of their product assortment and get ready to take advantage of the in-person exchange that's to come. So in October, we'll be supporting Egyptian brands here in Austin, Texas. We'll go to Dallas Market Center and some other opportunities there for them to learn how to pitch to showrooms. And then we'll be taking our Austin-based businesses to Cairo next November. Of course, all of this is pending the global pandemic. And so this is something that we are navigating together. But of course, this is an exciting opportunity for us to launch the series virtually for the next 4 to 5 months. And then to be able to support the exchange in person in the future. So if you are a business that has that's interested, this is actually for more established brands. And so you've got to have at least 2 to 3 years of sales prior to applying. So if that is you, definitely check out austintexas.gov/ATX Egypt. So that program is specifically for you. So that's a global business boot camp. It's for brands who are ready to expand beyond their current distribution outside of our domestic borders and looking at some global expansion opportunities. Even if you're already selling internationally, this may be of interest if you're not selling to the Middle East. So definitely an opportunity if you are considering growing your brand. So Coffee Talk. How are we getting our week started? So we've been trying to take some time to identify like a few different kind of current events, things that we think are really important for brands to be aware of as they are moving forward with their assortment, understanding what's happening with pricing, what's happening with the interest of different categories, as well as how that is appropriately applied to emerging brands and what that means for them. So one of the articles that we were looking at recently was with Vogue Business. And this is really looking at the changing in prices in the luxury market. And it's really from a global region sales component. For those of you who are maybe not as familiar with the luxury market, in different parts of the world, the pricing is significantly different, especially outside of France. So if you're in Paris, you're getting kind of the best opportunity with the luxury goods. It doesn't have to export. There's not the duty, all of those things. But what we're seeing is that in the last 12 months, a little bit more than that, there's been a significant price increase in luxury goods in markets outside of Western Europe. And so whenever we're looking at that differential, one is it's a change from year over year. So in August 2019, there may have been about 10% less than what it is this year. But a lot of us are kind of asking, well, why? Why are they changing their prices? Why are they changing their prices? Why is it going up? Why is it more expensive to engage? And you may have guessed it already. because of COVID, because of the pandemic, sales are down and sales are not moving as quickly as they did this time last year, especially going into the last quarter of the year. There's been a lot of concern that brands are not going to be able to make what they need to make in order to move their businesses forward. However, we've been seeing quite a lot of success in this for brands who are very, very, very well established, like Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton did an incredible stair step over the last few months in terms of pricing and has really seen increases in March and May. And I believe they've also done some additional increases July and even into August. And so this is really for brands that have a really strong constitution like Louis Vuitton or Chanel or Hermes. You'll see brands like this that are able to make these price increases. Now, they may or may not say, oh, yes, we're increasing our prices. However, it's obvious to see this shift in the pricing at the consumer level. And the people who, or the region that's really been feeling this the most is China. China, I believe, has had the highest increase in prices. And a lot of it is, there's a third of the luxury market that's actually happening in China, which is a huge deal. So in terms of, brands potentially losing out, it's, that market really has a lot of weight in their bottom line. And so they changed some things regarding pricing, but also because of the way that the pandemic has gone, China was the first to raise their curfew or to be able to come out of hiding, so to speak, from this pandemic. And so prices went back up because now people are back to normal, so to speak, and able to engage in things that they used to do before, going shopping and enjoying, being out in, the world, so to speak. The rest of the world, however, has been still under lockdown for the most part. We see a lot of changes and shifts in the way the pandemic has flowed and what people's priorities have become under, COVID-19. A lot of concern for recession, a lot of concern for, what the future holds. But whenever you're looking at the luxury consumer, you may be seeing a very different kind of behavior. There may be less concern for some of those issues that others who rely on more in-person or face-to-face work. There's the chasm is growing between those groups. So in the luxury market, it's not really affecting them the same way that it may be affecting, maybe a value brand who has a very different, or maybe even up to Bridge, Bridge or Contemporary, some shifts in behavior in terms of what it is that people are looking for when they go shopping. So the idea that a luxury brand would actually be increasing their prices during this time is actually quite surprising. It's not something that we would automatically assume would be taking place during a time like this. But whenever we're looking at the data, we can see that, as you're looking at different regions that have been absorbing the price change, you've got China, and then you have, Japan, Japan, who actually pays the highest premium out of any of the regions, then mainland China, then Korea, then Hong Kong, then the USA. And so, those price goods, may increase as much as over 30%. Whenever you're in regions like Japan or China, and then maybe as much as 12%, 15% whenever you're in the USA. So something to kind of keep in mind where it starts to make sense, where people are like, oh, I'm traveling to go buy my luxury goods while I'm in Paris. Well, that's not happening right now. No one's doing that right now. People are more concerned about staying safe and then some countries aren't even accepting you. Americans are not being welcomed across the world just yet because we haven't gotten our pandemic, our virus spread under control. And so likewise, there are a lot of other countries, a lot of other consumers who are not feeling comfortable with taking airline flights to other countries or to be in other regions of the world right now. And so that inability to move around kind of also bolsters the ability of brands to increase their prices within each of these regions. And so this is another thing that, we're seeing as an interesting situation where brands are trying to make sure that they are making their bottom line, but that they are also shoring up, their long-term business. Personally, I'm a little concerned about seeing this. I knew that there are price hikes in various parts of the world, but I think that for these brands to have it so transparently shown, I'm concerned that this is actually going to have a negative impact for areas of the world singled out for their willingness to pay significantly more than what other people are paying. 15-20% more based on tariffs or location or what have you, specialized product deliveries that have been designed for market, that could be a bit more understandable. When it becomes 40 and 50% difference because the hikes are going up and up and up, now it kind of begs the question about hiking the prices in other regions of the world so that it actually matches. It's not such a huge differential from one region to the next. That's one of the things that the article in Vogue Business was kind of talking about, was just closing the gap. So it's not so pointed in singling out a particular region. One of the other things is that, whenever you're looking at kind of pushing the envelope, so to speak, in certain regions of the world, there are a lot of other things at play. We talked about the cotton ban last week from U.S. Customs, and kind of, different parts of the industries, making their pinches and, squeezes from different parts of, do they go up on the luxury goods? Do we ban the cotton that's coming out of that country? Do we, so, there's going to come a time whenever this is going to be completely unacceptable. And so I think that there's a window in which a strategy may work. It may work for some time, but I have a feeling that it's going to spur some reaction, right? If consumers feel taken advantage of, or if economies feel taken advantage of, or being pushed or pinched into a tight spot. From a variety of different angles, it can kind of spur a larger chain reaction, not just for one country, but for many, right? And so this is really kind of where the world economies kind of become, they've always been interlinked, they've always been intertwined, but understanding where in the world you fall and understanding where in the world, product belongs or pricing belongs or material resources belong. All of these things are intertwined. And so what we try to do is have the conversation here, open-ended. No one's judging, these brands like Hermes and Chanel and Louis Vuitton have the brand capital to be able to command these kinds of prices, and people want it. People want to buy their goods. But one of the other things that I think is kind of interesting is that some of these brands have really felt pushed, the Prada, Gucci, also luxury labels, but not the same level of, forgive me if you are a Gucci lover or a, Prada lover, but Louis Vuitton and Hermes and Chanel have a kind of clout in the market. And, I don't want to make it, French brands versus Italian brands, but there are some different perceptions about this. And so I think that some brands may feel pulled or kind of coerced into playing on this field that they may not have originally engaged upon, or maybe they feel like, okay, well, these three are making the room for us to all increase our prices slightly to be able to manage our bottom line. And so maybe they get a chance to benefit. But however you look at it, whether it's keeping up with the Joneses or whether it's, the larger trees make shade for the smaller trees, however you see it, it's something that I think is going to have a time limit, and it's going to have a moment during this very unusual time. And then there's going to be a time when we'll have to rebalance and figure out what's going to work from a strategy standpoint regarding pricing. So why do we talk about this kind of thing whenever we talk about emerging fashion brands or small fashion businesses. For us, it's really important for our fashion brands to understand how they fit into really the global economy. It's not just enough anymore for you to understand, like, okay, I make this particular collection that I believe in, and I'm trying to merchandise it to just these couple of places. True, you have to start somewhere, but you are so much more affected by what's happening globally from a political standpoint, from a pricing standpoint, from a material standpoint, fiber availability, all of these things. As you're creating and building business. I was on a call with someone recently about what it is that we do at the Fashion Incubator with developing brands, helping brands to grow, connecting them with valuable resources, mentoring them. And they asked me, they're like, well, are you more interested in like trend from like a silhouette and design perspective? Or are you more interested in like the merchandising, like the analytics and the math? And I was like, well, you need both. You need both. And so, whenever someone says, well, are you more interested in kind of the domestic, information in terms of like what's happening in your market, or are you primarily interested in what's happening globally? And it's like, well, we're on the globe. So it's never enough for us just to be focused on just what's happening out of our back door. And so as the Fashion Incubator has been creating its various programs, a lot of what we do is looking for ways to not just support and develop what's happening domestically out of our back door, but now that we're in this virtual space, accelerated by COVID-19, thinking globally is crucial, and it was before, understanding a bit more about the larger scale of what's happening around the world. So, for us, it's important for us to impart that to our designers, to be cognizant of what's happening, but then to also understand that says, hey, you know what? If there's a cotton ban in China, or if it's harder for you to get to the cotton that you had before, there may be some changes in your price domestically, and you're going to have to account for that. What are you going to do? How are you going to respond? This is really key for us to be able to explain that and to bring that information to them. So as we have these conversations with our community, we have these conversations with other accelerators and incubators around the country and locally as well. Austin has got an incredible network of innovative leaders in the accelerator and the incubator world. So this is something that we are very passionate about. Really understanding not just what we do as a footprint in our own space, but how do we connect globally? And so that's another reason why I'll go back to the ATX Egypt program. It's another reason why we believe so strongly in the ATX Egypt program is that it's really, it's another space for fashion to create a meaningful exchange between small businesses in other parts of the world. Typically, these things are reserved for much larger brands. And so you don't really see the opportunities like this available for brands that are maybe 2 or 3 years into sales, or maybe even three to 6 years into sales, 3 to 5 years into sales. This is something that is typically, something that for a lot of brands, they need some time to ramp up. But whenever the U.S. Embassy and the City of Austin Economic Development Department came together, to create this opportunity, they really wanted to seed opportunities to be able to share resources, to be able to share business exposure, and to be able to propel our workforce forward, to propel our fashion industry forward from Austin. So this is something that we really try to find ways to create meaningful exchange, meaningful dialogue around what's happening around the world. So I've got a few more minutes here. We typically do this talk for about 30 minutes. And it's really something that, if you're just now getting to know us at the ACC Fashion Incubator, what we would love for you to know is that this is a department within the Austin Community College that was started by an interlocal agreement between the City of Austin Economic Development Department. So we do quite a lot of work with them. as well as Gerber technology. And so one of the things that we are really proud of is that we've been able to leverage about $13 million worth of equipment, hardware and software, to be able to help support the growth of the local fashion industry here in Austin. Here pretty soon we'll be a lot more visible, doing that program virtually, with a larger audience, being able to invite Egyptian brands into understanding a bit more about how we do what we do. But we're looking forward to engaging more and creating more opportunities for our community to engage with our resources. So definitely stay tuned to what it is that we're up to. If you're not following us on our social media, check us out at ACC Fashion Incubator. We are on Instagram, LinkedIn, on Facebook and Twitter. Twitter, we're actually at ACC Fashion Incube, so you can check us out there. And if you want to check out just any of our additional videos, you should subscribe to our channel. It's our YouTube channel is at ACC Fashion Incubator, and we've done quite a lot of series. We do the Monday talk, where it's just coffee talk and some time for us to connect and chat and catch up. We also do a workshop Wednesday where we introduce some various topics in our industry about how to work virtually, technical design, as well as product development. We'll be introducing some of the product lifecycle management software through Gerber technology this coming week. So if you haven't seen it, check us out on Wednesday at 10 a.m. And then on Fridays, we do ACCFI Presents, and that's where we're starting to introduce you to our designers in residence. So we've done 2 profiles on 6 of the brands that we've brought on, and I think you're going to really love them. We talked with Mary Clarette. That's the first brand. It's like a linen, casual women's line. It's beautiful. And then we had a talk with the National Bureau of Product Research, and this is a really exciting streetwear brand that has a lot to offer. So we can't wait for you guys to see some of the brands that we're incubating here at ACC, and what's to come, for them. So as we're working with them, we'll get a chance to share with you all of, the new things that are coming out from their lines, and can't wait to tell you more all about that. So anyways, guys, we're really happy that we've been able to connect with you here for Coffee Talk. It's really meaningful for us to be able to talk through some things that are happening in the world around us and how it affects emerging brands. But also getting a chance to talk about what's happening here at the incubator. So, we couldn't do it without our incredible team and our advisory board, as well as our administration, who has always supported us. And so we're really excited about doing more great things here to come. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to send us a quick note at fashion.incubator@austincc.edu. And we would love to connect with you in the future. So we are going to go ahead and close out here for Coffee Talk for this time around, but we're so glad we got a chance to connect with you here. And my name is Nina Means, and I'm the director for Austin Community College Fashion Incubator.